Welcome. Thank you for joining today's presentation on PrintVis and the integration with Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. So today we're going to be discussing the benefits that PrintVis provides, as well as having the integration with Dynamics Business Central adds additional value that you can utilize when implementing PrintVis. So we'll go through a little bit of the PowerPoint to discuss some of the different integrations and capabilities of PrintVis. We'll also dive into and have an overview of what the system looks like on a day-to-day basis. So as I mentioned, PrintVis is integrated with Business Central, which is a Microsoft product. And PrintVis has added the vertical in the printing industry. So Dynamics 365 is an ERP system that provides the financial background to a large variety of industries. What PrintVis has done is taken that and added it to the print specific. So we have taken it integrated with Business Central. Now I say integrated. There is a seamless integration. So on a day-to-day basis for the user, they don't have that what is Business Central, what is PrintVis feel. They're essentially just using PrintVis, but gaining the benefits that Business Central has to offer as well. So like I mentioned, we are a print-specific solution. So here listed are just a large overview of the different sectors of the printing industry. Not all of them are listed. So if you don't see yours listed here specifically, feel free to reach out and we'll give you a more description and make sure that we can describe how PrintVis can handle your solution or your sector of the print industry that you are specifically working in. The different features that PrintVis has available, we are a quote-to-cash solution. So we handle your estimating, your scheduling, the shop floor management, inventory, and purchasing. And I really want to emphasize that the integrations and collaborations. So we have several different already built integrations. Some of them are Shift integration, which is a shipping integration that works when you are wanting to ship products using different carriers. So we have an integration with that. We have integration from the US of EasyPost, which is a counterpart to the Shift, but it is more on the US basis side. Shipmondo is another shipping integration. We also have DocuBee integration, which is a e-signature. It's an automatic e-signature solution that I will demo here in a couple minutes. And then we also have, with the JDF side, we have the ACFA DPP, which is a dynamic print planning from Kodak. We have ESCO integrations. So these are just a very small list of integrations that we have already out of the box. If you have a specific solution that you would like to integrate with, feel free to reach out and we can look into that and give you a better idea how that integration would look. If you're not familiar, integration, what we're doing is all the information from PrintVis is then passed to a separate solution. It's not a standalone solution, meaning you have to go into the solution and mimic the data. PrintVis passes and receives data from other solutions. So it's a one-time only information needed to be entered, and then that information can be passed back and forth through communication. Web Shop is another big integration. We have a couple integrations with web shops. We also have connectors that help with that integration. And we can also utilize, I will discuss later on, we'll utilize Power Automate, which is a Microsoft solution, to also be able to possibly handle that communication with web shops. So those are just some add-ons, some examples of add-ons that can be utilized by PrintVis to enhance your day-to-day basis, your day-to-day process flow. Now, from the Microsoft side of things, like I mentioned before, they're handling more of the financial aspect of the day-to-day basis. So your chart of accounts, your bank reconciliations, all that financial side of it is generally going to be handled by Microsoft, meaning we can stick for just focusing on making sure that the print is up to date, enhanced, and working seamlessly. and smoothly. So what I really want to touch on from here is we handle localization and multi-currency. So if you're an international company and you're dealing with currency exchange rates, we can handle that for sure, as well as we are a cloud-based solution. So we utilize the Microsoft cloud-based solution. It's very secure. Microsoft spends a lot of money making sure that the security is up to date, as well as backup data storing, as well as deep lake storing, so storing deep archived cases to making sure you can still have the information pulled out of the deep lake, the deep storage, and can be utilized, but not taking performance away from the solution, not taking well, all this data has to be stored locally. It's being stored through the Microsoft solution. And also user-friendly. It's a very user-friendly interface, very easy to customize, make customizations to. If you have additional information not available, it can be customized and add the information to the solution, as well as even just personalization. I'll discuss here when we're talking inside of the system, how you can personalize it so every user can have it look and feel the way they want with their day-to-day tasks. It's very easy to use and it's extendable. So like we discussed with the integration capabilities, you can extend this solution to add in other solutions that will make it that you're working in one solution, but the information is being passed back and forth, and adding that customization that you might find necessary. So like I mentioned with Dynamics 365 Business Central, it is a Microsoft product, meaning Microsoft has a Power Platform. So you can see here we have Copilot Studio, we have Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Pages, Power BI. All of these are low code, no code, meaning you don't have to have a lot of technical background. You don't have to do coding with it. It's a lot of drag and drop solution to be able to, again, enhance the solution to meet your standards. So Power BI is a great statistical analysis tool. I'll talk about here and have an example here in a second, but it is great for bar graphs, line graphs, pie charts, all of that. If you want to see a profit ratio, if you want to see your sales, if you want to see scheduling, if you want to have a little bit, not diving into the planning board, but you just want to have a high overview of the schedule, what's being scheduled, what's being completed, all that different data you can utilize in Power BI, which is embedded. You can embed it directly in PrintVis. So that way you don't have to use a separate solution to get your analysis of that information. You can have it directly inside PrintVis. This is beneficial for managers or executives that want to see this information available, and it refreshes automatically. So you don't have to go in and remember to refresh the data to have live action data. It's already going to do that for you. Power Automate is great for process flow. The automated process flow. And like I mentioned before, with having the web shop integrations, as long as your web shop can have an Excel file, we have customers utilizing that. If there's not already an existing integration and you just want to get when orders are being created in your web shop, you want to pass that through PrintVis, we can easily create a Power Automate flow, meaning you pulling that data directly from your web shop, putting it into PrintVis, that it doesn't require users to go in and do anything manually. It's an automated process flow. And I'll show you another example here in a second. And Copilot. Copilot's a big focus from the Microsoft atmosphere, as well as from PrintVis. We're looking at different ways to utilize Copilot in the system so that way it can do a lot of this information gathering and auto-populating of information just based off of analysis of either existing orders or looking through the internet to provide suggestions for you to reduce the manual input from a user. So just keep that in mind that all of these solutions are available when utilizing PrintVis. It doesn't require any add-ons or anything. You can utilize this, you can embed it, you can use, so this is another way of how the PrintVis and Microsoft collaboration integration can help benefit you as a customer. Another thing that is I like to mention is the Outlook integration. This is very beneficial for the CSRs or your sales team to be able to, they can just receive an email. So like here you can see that Nick has sent me an email. He wants to have a status of his order. You can have the PrintVis and Business Essential embedded inside of your Outlook, so they don't have to leave Outlook to go into the PrintVis system to find the status of this order. Just by receiving an order, it ties the information to existing cases. And when I'm talking about cases, it is your job briefcase. It houses all of your estimating, job tickets, your purchase orders, all of that job-related information is stored inside of a case, makes it easier to find the data so you don't have to go searching for it. So you can see what jobs they have available, a current, could be order, it could be request, a quote. You can see past due amounts, so your financial information, all of that within the Outlook integration. So you don't have to leave to do any balancing back and forth between two solutions, just have it right here available for you. So like I mentioned with Power Automate, so this one example, and it's just a very simple example, is that you can have it where your schedulers want to be updated whenever an order is ready to be scheduled. So order has become available for scheduling in the system, and the scheduler just receives an email saying it's ready to be scheduled, here you go. But this is just a very simple way. Now you can get a little more complex, like I talked about with the web shop integration. You can use Power Automate for web shop integration. You can send emails. You can have all kinds of different automated process flow. So it's a trigger. When something happens, it's a effect. Then it triggers a different reaction, whatever it might be. So the ideas are endless. And this is just a way, it's a low code, no code. So you don't need to be a developer to write a lot of code to get this information available. You just drag and drop a couple items in the Power Automate app, and you can create it in just a matter of minutes or hours, depending on how complex it is. So just keep that in mind, that it doesn't require a lot of customization to be able to accomplish a lot of different tasks. And DocuBee integration, like I mentioned, it's an e-signature automated process flow. So inside of PrintVis, whenever a case or a job is ready to be, a quote is ready to be sent to the customer, you can easily have it where their PDF is sent automatically to the customer, as well as requesting a signature, a name, a date, checkbox, whatever it might be. You can easily customize that, and then that PDF is sent with all the job relevant information, and that would then, once it's being signed, the information can be sent back, the document can be stored. And I'll go into more of an example on how this looks here in a couple minutes, but just keep that in mind. This is one integration that's available amongst a large variety of integrations. A combination of the Power Apps and Power Automate is that you can create a artwork approval workshop. And now this is from an existing customer that they have an example of this. There's different ways to handle it. You can use the DocuBee. The DocuBee can be used to send a PDF of the artwork, as well as some signature or review that's required, or you can create a web shop for this, essentially a web shop, not a web shop, but a web page for it. So that way the customer can be updated, they can review the artwork, they can reject it if something needs to be changed, or they can approve it or make comments back and forth. And this is just a matter of a couple hours. This can be created, and it can look and feel how you would like, with minimal amount of code. Even essentially could be no code depending on the complexity. So this is just, again, another way that all of the different integrations, the different apps can work together inside PrintVis, and it's a seamless integration. So this isn't clunky where there's a lot of different items added together and it's very clunky. It's a seamless integration. Your day-to-day your users on a day-to-day basis are essentially just looking at PrintVis, but all of this information is being gathered and stored and communicated back and forth with other solutions if necessary. And like I mentioned with the Power BI, so this is just an example of a Power BI. This is from a shop floor manager. They want to see from the shop floor what's being scheduled, what's being recorded, if there's any downtime for a machine, all this data. And this is just a default example. Of course, you would have your own examples that you might find beneficial. They can be easily adapted, customized. They can just start from scratch. You can get a completely different idea of the information and utilize your own Power BI reports. But I just want to show you that this is an example where you can have multiple graphs on a screen. Now, this is embedded inside PrintVis, so it's a lot to look at. But you can easily just go and select my PowerPoint looks like it froze, but that's okay. You can easily just go ahead and select a specific part of the graph, and you can blow it up. You can make it bigger, but it's a more focused view. And I'll show you that here in a second, how that looks, where it's a focused view on a specific item, a specific chart, so that way it's not as busy on the screen. You're just seeing the chart that you want to see available. You can also make the page bigger. You can expand it so you have a more focused view. It's a larger view. You can switch between reports. And I'll show you that here in a second when we jump into the system. But this is just, again, another tool that can be utilized when using PrintVis as a solution. So now I think it's going to be a good point to now jump into the system and see what does PrintVis look like from a day-to-day basis. So if I pull over my screen, so when you log into PrintVis, when you sign into PrintVis, you see a landing page essentially, and this landing page is going to be different for every user. So you, as a shop floor worker, it's going to be different. Scheduler, estimator, your CSRs, everyone's going to have their own day-to-day tasks that they are going to be completing. So why not have all the information right here? So you don't have to go bouncing around the system. You can easily just go and select the different tasks, and it opens up the window according to the task that you want to perform. So I just have a very minimal amount just to show you how clean it can look. You can have multiple tasks. And again, like I mentioned, you can personalize this. So if I have another task that I'm performing on a day-to-day basis, I can easily personalize my own view. So as a salesperson, another salesperson logging into the system can have a different task available for them. So every user that has different tasks, they can personalize it to their own look and feel that they are wanting to see without affecting others. But you can also have it on a global level where all CSRs have the same information available, but then just minor adjustments can be made as well. So keep that in mind. There's different levels of personalizing this information on the screen, depending on if you wanted to have all CSRs have the same information and then just minor personalizations, or if you want to allow the freedom for your CSRs or whatever the role might be to customize and personalize the page. So you see down here, we have a couple of different tiles. So we have responsible, coordinator. So the difference is that from a CSR perspective is I might be responsible for a task at this moment, meaning it's ready. It needs to be, a quote needs to be sent out, for example. So it's been estimated, it's been reviewed, it's now come back to me to send out the quote. That I am responsible for this case at the specific time because a task falls on me to perform. But also, there's a coordinator. Coordinator means I am responsible for a case, no matter where it's going to be in the facility. It could be on the shop floor. It could be ready for invoicing, ready for shipping. That way, I can easily see my own list. So when a customer comes in and says, "Where's my order? I want a status update," they can find it. They can open up this list. I can just click, and then open up my list, and I can see these different ones are active, meaning they haven't been completed, haven't been shipped, and all ready to close and archive. But these are active cases that I can see based off of me being being a coordinator for this task, for this job. And you can see that we have a case ID and a quote and an order. Now, the difference between these is that the ID, every case gets an ID, but not every case becomes a quote, meaning that we have a different numbering system for the quotes because not every case gets a quote and not every quote becomes an order. So we have different numbering schemes for this. So that way you can distinguish between them, but you can still, inside of a case, will have your quotes, your orders, your, like I said, job estimation, your job tickets, all the information is still there. So you can easily search for it based off of a order number, quote number, case ID, job name. You can do all kinds of different searches based off of information. And we have like a job name. This is just an internal name to help distinguish what the job might be. You have your sell to, meaning who's going to be buying this product, as well as a status. And when we talk about status, we have a process flow. So every job, as it progresses through the facility, gets a specific status code. It gets depending on the task that needs to be performed. It could be a request, order, it could be in the press, running on press, it could be ready for shipping or invoicing. That flow will then determine who should be responsible for it. This makes sure that a job does not get forgotten, it does not get swept under the desk. It's always going to have a task and a status, and it's always going to have somebody responsible for it at any given time. So this is customizable, meaning you will use your different status, your different process flow to determine the setup for that. So it's not just because we have it set up with quote, order, production, just because we have it set up like that doesn't mean it can't be customized to yours. So majority of the system is going to be based off of your setup. So you're setting this up because you're going to want to use it based off of how your facility works. So just keep that in mind, that what you're going to be seeing today is not going to be, yes, this is default, this is how it has to be. No, there's a lot of setup that you will have it personalized to your own look and feel based off of how your facility works. So I think let me just go back to the rule center to kind of show you some more information before we jump into how to create a case. So you can have different charts available. This is another way that you can have charts available. It's not Power BI, it's just different charts that you can build and store where you can have different information shown based off of the relevant information you want to see available. You can have a case list. So customer list, meaning these are specific customers I'm working on. You can keep an eye on the balance due. You can have items if you have specific items that you are going to be purchasing or you keep an eye on. You can keep that information available. But what I really want to show is here. It's the Power BI, like I mentioned. So here you can easily go in and I can select and I can expand. I can make it where I'm just focused on one specific chart, not the whole report in general. So this is just an example of a different way that you can distinguish the information. These are different customers that you might have. So it's a world map with the different locations of customers. And you can expand it even bigger. You can make it where it's going to be full screen. And from here, you can change reports as different sheets in the report as well. So that was profit ratio. If I wanted to see job costing, I can show job costing. These are just some default reports that you can use right out of the box with some minor changes, or you can start from scratch and make a completely new report. And again, it's low code, no code, meaning you don't need to be a developer to create these different reports and embed them inside of PrintVis. So let's go ahead and go back in and let's create a new case. So if I go to case request, so a new case that's come in. Now, keep in mind, you can also have RFQs available. So your sales team is filling out RFQ based off of the information is being populated and creating a case. There's different ways that this information can be entered from the sales perspective, but I'm just showing you what the case looks like, how it generally gets created from scratch. And then, but again, there's a lot of alternatives. So feel free, if you have questions about what different alternatives are available, reach out to us and we'll be happy to give you more of an in-depth example of how that looks. So from here, I can easily, your sell to number is your customer. So what customer am I going to be selling to? So I can easily just start typing. As I'm typing, it's going to be filtering down the list of customers. I want to pick Spotmeyer. It has a sell to context. So who am I contacting? This is myself. And the reason it's me is because when we get into DocuBee, I'm going to show you how DocuBee works as well. So it's good to have my email in it so I can pull it in and show you an example for DocuBee. But this is just a default. You can easily change it where it's a different sale, it's a different contact. You can change it, no problem. Getting down into order type and product group. So order type is a statistical analysis tool. So how are you going to sell your product? Is it going to be direct sales? Is it web shop? Is it a sales agency selling the product for you? There's just different ways of selling. And the reason we have this is for a statistical analysis. So that way you can analyze what are different ways you're selling a product. It could be quarterly, annually, just a different reporting mechanism that's available, as well as product groups. So it's a sub-level of the order type, but it's a list of the different products that you're selling. So this is, again, based off of the products that you as a customer are selling, but these are just what I have available in my demo environment. And you can see that some items have a template. So we utilize different ways of having templates. You don't need to have templates. You can create cases from scratch or have it populated based off of this CSR entering information in, and then have an estimated finish on after the general information has been created. But you can also use a template, meaning you can store data inside of a template case. So whenever a magazine, for example, or a business card gets populated or gets selected, information is being populated based off of that template. It could be your format size, your final format size. It could be number of colors, your press you're using. It can be as large, as much information or as minimal information as you feel is necessary to help reduce the number of keystrokes for an estimator. But I'm going to select books with no template because I'm going to show you another way that we utilize templates inside of PrintVis. Again, give it a job name, whatever you find is easy to recognize. So I'm going to say it's the PrintVis book. And just easy to recognize what the job is with a brief overview. And so you can see I'm not going to do any magic. I have nothing here on this case. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select a finished good item. So a finished good item can also house a template. And a finished good might be a inventory item. It could be a repeat order. So if you're getting an order of 16-page with cover book, and if you're doing a repeat, you can store that job information. So anytime you're selecting this product, it's populating as much data as you feel is relevant. So that way, I'm going to show you here. I'll select 16 pages with a cover. I'll click OK. And what the system is doing is pulling the information from that template case. And just from doing that, I already have my different components. So I have my text and my cover, as well as the raw material I'm going to be using, the press I'm going to be using. Again, you can leave the paper number, the raw material off. You can leave the machine off and require the estimator to choose the material and the press that's going to be running. Or you can have it populated. So this is just based off of your preference. Based off of my setup, all I have to do is come in and enter how much is the customer requesting for. They're wanting to have 4,000, and when do they want to have it delivered? The 23rd. And just from that, I already have a quoted price. Now, how do I get that quoted price? That's a big question. So I come into estimating, and here on my estimating, I'll show a breakdown of how we are gathering that information. So from the template, I already have my plates, my machine, the different finishing processes, so laminating and trimming and saddle stitching. So that's how I'm going to be running my machine, my product. So these are different processes. So based off of that, I can select my printer and show you that based off of that, I have my different operations. So setup and printing. I have my different inks that I'm going to be using, as well as it will calculate how much material you need, as well as scrap. So for my printer, I'm going to need scrap for my laminator, my trimmer, my saddle stitcher. It will back calculate based off of the finished products you need and the scrap from the previous the processes to come, it will back calculate how much scrap and how much quantity you need to output from the press, or it could be the laminator, how much you need to output to the trimming, and so on and so forth. So that's all based off of just some setup of what formula you're using to calculate. We have a large variety of formulas that come out of the box with PrintVis. We also have the availability if there's some tweaks that you need to make the way things are calculating, they don't match the way you calculate. You can create your own calculation, your own formulas, so that way you don't have to do a custom code to create a formula to calculate specific information. You can easily go into the system and create your own formula without any development that's necessary. So just keep that in mind. We also have speed tables and assigned to machines. So it can have as simple as just I run based off of quantity breaks. I can run a machine at this speed based off of this quantity. You can make it more complex where you're saying based off of the format size of the material, based off of the quality of the material, you can run it at different speeds. So you can have that more complex setup as well. And then it will also calculate the breakdown of your labor cost, your overhead cost, your variable cost based off of the setup for this specific machine. It will break down that cost of that labor as well as the cost for the material. And then it'll give you a calculated overview time and price per operation. So that way you can see what that looks like from that breakdown looks like to how do we calculate how much time we need, and how do we calculate how much we're going to be quoting for this job? And this is just a little bit of a breakdown of how that information is calculated. Again, this is this setup. I mean, once you set it up once, you don't have to reuse and manually input data. The system is going to be calculating that for you just based off of select information entered on the job, like quantity, for example, or number of colors or the pages. It takes all the information and it will calculate that for you. And then we also have available pricing breakdown. So we have pricing where we can break down the pricing. The right-hand side you can see is how the system is calculating the job. On this left-hand side, you can see that it's a couple white boxes. You can enter information here. So if you want to make a change, if you want to be competitive, so let's say you want to be competitive and you want to drop that, how low can we quote this based off of reducing our net profit percentage to 3.5 versus 4.25, and it will tell you. So this is how the new updated quote versus excuse me, versus how it was quoted from the system by default. And your pricing method you can make so you can make a change, and it shows you the different ways that you can change your quoted price. Now, again, this is an option available. If you don't want your estimators to have this option, we can reduce the permissions so they don't have access to this information. So it's very easy. There's a lot of different permissions that can be set up and adjusted. So that way you're only giving each user the limited access that they need to perform the day-to-day tasks without interrupting the other tasks that they should not be a part of. So it's individual permission sets that can be applied. And so keep that in mind. So you can give the access to as much or as little of the system that they need to meet their day-to-day tasks. So now this is ready. It's already been reviewed. It's ready to go. I can now say I'm going to change this, and it's now can be available for a quote. So now you can see the responsible changed from me to now Sally, the salesperson. She can now send this over to a customer. And what she would do is, let me just double check one thing. Let me just make sure my folders are created. I should have done that in the first place. Folders will be created automatically based off of the status that the case reaches. So I think I have later on I can create my folders, but you can create at any part of the process. It can be a request. You create your folders, and what folders are is we again utilize the SharePoint process. So SharePoint is a file organization tool that will store all of your files, your PDFs, your Word documents, Excel documents. All the information can be stored in SharePoint. It's again a cloud product accessed anywhere. The location can be anywhere, but here you can see that you can set up different folder structures. So when we're talking with the DocuBee, I have it set up where my quotes, artwork, and order confirmations are separated, as well as it sent, signed, declined, because based off of the document being passed to DocuBee and from DocuBee, once it's been sent, it will be stored in the sent folder. Once it's been signed, it will store in the signed folder. If it's been declined, it'll even provide a PDF of the declined quote just to have that. It's not required. Again, the way you have it set up. If you don't want to store your declined quotes, you don't have to. You can set it up where you do or you don't. But it's just another example of the possibilities with this DocuBee integration is you can automatically store these files, these PDFs, but you can also have Excel files or Word documents or any other information that you want to store for this specific job. You can store it in these SharePoint folders, and that are accessible from the case as well as from the shop floor. I'll show you here in a little bit how it looks from the shop floor side, but just kind of keep that in mind. So I'm going to now, it's ready to be sent. The quote, I can just hit send for signature. And based off of my DocuBee integration, I can send my quote, order confirmation, or artwork, depending on what report I'm trying to send. I'm going to send my quote. And then you can have different layouts. You can have different information. It could be different products require different quote formatting, layouts, or it could be based off of customers want different information. That's totally up to you. You can have as many or as few reports available for this integration, this DocuBee integration. So what it does is I'm going to select my quote, I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to pull that sell to customer, that contact. So again, it was myself because I'm going to show you what the report looks like, but you have that name and email already being pulled in. You don't have to go in and type it in or find it. It's already going to be pulled in from the case. And you can add additional PDF documents. So if you have your artwork that you want to send, if you have a PDF of the artwork, you can attach it. But what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the preview. So this is, again, a default report that we have available. Now you would have your own logo, you would have your own structure and layout, and this is just a Word document. So you don't require a developer to go in and do some fancy coding to create this document. Any user that has knowledge of Word can go in and make these adjustments to the layout, make a completely your own layout that you want. Same thing is for a majority of our reports in PrintVis and Business Central is we utilize Word layout to make it user-friendly where you can make adjustments to the layout without requiring a lot of developer hours. You can also you can see down here, I'm going to scroll through some job information. So we have another integration I didn't mention is carbon quota, which and it's very big in Europe, is that they want to keep track of their carbon footprint. So this is another integration capability that we have available, is we've integrated with carbon quota to have that analysis of that different data to then report to the customers and to the government to be able to tell how much carbon footprint you had per job. But I want to show you is we have down here signature, name, and date. Now, when I actually go to send this, DocuBee will publish a signature field, a name field, and a date field, but I'm just going to show you just a preview so you can make a review of the document to make sure it meets your standards before you send it. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to hit next, and from that, it will then suggest what the email subject and email body is, and this is just setup. What information do I want available when a customer is going to be receiving this email? What should be shown to them? So, and it could be job-specific information. So it took the quote number from that job and published it automatically without me having to go in and type it. And you can make adjustments as well if needed. I can, again, review the document if I want to, or I can finish. And what it's going to do is it's going to run through that process to get that document ready to be published and sent to the customer. So once it's being published, I'll jump into my email in a second, but I want to show you that the status was quote. Now it's quote sent. And again, this is just showing that way it's automatic. I didn't do anything fancy. I just set it up to say, okay, when I send a quote, I want to put it in quote sent to then will update my deadline so I know when I need to follow up with my customer. If I haven't heard from them by the 9th, then I need to follow up with them. And that date frame, it could be 2 days, it could be a week, depending on your preference. It's just setting up to automatically populate that deadline based off of the date that the status was reached and how much time should be given before a follow-up needs to be completed with the customer. So now I have it sent. Let me just pull up my email real quick and I'll show you. I now have a new email from DocuBee. Actually, this is from PrintVis, but it's coming in from the DocuBee solution. So you can see that all the information from the subject and from the email subject and the email body were based off of what you've seen on the last screen. I can review the document. So here it's going to open up that DocuBee document. Just like we saw it before, this is the same look and feel. The only thing that's different now is we have a signature, a name, and a date field. Now the customer can choose to decline it if necessary. If there's some change that needs to be applied, they can decline it for whatever reason. But let's say I want to actually submit this. So I can go to add my signature, I can add my name, and then I can also add my date. That's necessary. I just go ahead and hit submit. So what this is doing is it's sending that back to PrintVis. So you can see signed, sealed, delivered. So if I go back into my solution, I can go ahead and show you that now you can see it's awaiting signature because the system hasn't refreshed. We have a refresh in the system where you can set up the time frame that it needs to be refreshed. It could be every minute, every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, depending on how your preference is to refresh this information. You can have it refresh. And I'm going to do it manually just because I don't want to wait for the system to go ahead and refresh it. I'm just going to say refresh status of it. And from here, you can see that now it's been moved to sign. Now my status is updated. It was awaiting signature. Now it's been signed. And then I can back out and I can open up my folders and show you how now I go into quote signed. And here you can see just a few seconds ago, it's being stored and signed. Now my format structure is based off of customer. It could be based off of the case. It could be based off of whatever structure you want available. I just have mine set to customers all populating with inside of the quote inside of the same folder structure as the customer. But you can see now it's been saved. So I can view it. It's a PDF. I can open it and view it if I want to just make sure that everything still looks correct. But it's just storing that data for you automatically. Nothing needs to be applied. And you can also see that I also have the case now moved to order. It's now been approved. It's in order. If an estimator needs to review the estimate to make sure that all the information is still relevant, it could be that machine is on maintenance and I have to move machines around. That can be available as well. It might not be where you might just send it directly into ready to be scheduled or the material needs to be purchased. Again, whatever status you want it to be published in, it'll move it automatically for you. So I can now change status. It looks good. I can move it to plan. It's ready to be scheduled. Another thing is material requirements. You have a page for your material requirements to show you what material you need for this job. And it's your inks, your raw material, your plates, all that information is stored here. You can do reservations. You can make reservations for this order automatically, manually, whatever your preference might be. You can reserve material so that way you're allotting the correct material and the correct amount for each job. So that way you don't have orders pulling other material from other orders. You're keeping that in line. You can use it. You don't have to use it. It's your preference. But also showing what a purchase order looks like. So from here, the system will suggest a purchase order being created. If you're wanting to do purchase material order by order, there could be times where you're ordering all your material by order. You don't keep any inventory. It could be that you are actually going to be purchasing some items that are not as often used and you don't want to store in inventory, but you want to purchase it when necessary. You can have that here. And for those inventory items, you can have what's called a requisition worksheet, which builds a bulk suggestion of reordering based off of a threshold being reached. You say, when should I order this? If I need this minimal amount and it gets below that minimal amount, it will automatically suggest for you to make a repurchase to replenish your stock. And that's just another way of doing it. But I'm going to order this on an order by order basis, so I can just review it. If I need to make a change to the quantity I want to order, I can easily do so. I can then say, oh, yep, looks great. I want to create a purchase, and I can go ahead and, hey, create purchase. Oh, I need to update my system so that so that's a little bit error on my end. But from here, all it would do is it would create a purchase order for you automatically, and then your purchaser can review it and complete that purchase if necessary. You might have your scheduler might be also the one purchasing your material as well. That's also an option. So it just depends on your preference on how you want to set it up, and the different flow and who should be responsible for what tasks is all your preference. But you can easily just create a purchase for a job-by-job basis. Now material has been purchased, it's ready to be scheduled. So I can come in and show you one way of scheduling, and then I'll show you what our scheduling Gantt board or scheduling board looks like as well. It gives you a higher overview. But if I wanted to schedule a job by job basis, I just say, when is the earliest I can start it? And you can either start the job from the beginning, from as soon as possible, or you can also do it from your shipment date. So that way you're scheduling jobs just in time for it to be shipped out to your customer, and it leaves time then to put in some rush jobs if needed. Depending on your preference of scheduling, it's how you're scheduling it. I mean, there's no one way to do it. There's multiple ways, as well as auto scheduling, which I'll talk about here in a second. But I can go ahead and say plan from start. I'm not doing any magic. It's just going to find the first available, earliest available capacity for each process, and it's going to schedule that accordingly. So now I have a job that's scheduled. Now, if I close this, and I'll actually jump back to the home screen just to show you that you can easily just come in and have that planning board right on the home screen for any scheduler or anyone who's wanting to see the planning board. And again, you can restrict access. You can have it view only, so you don't want anyone to make changes, but you still want people to be available to view the Gantt board. That can be available as well. Left-hand side is your machines. We call them cost centers, but it's your machines that you'll be using, as well as the top is the date range. You can easily zoom in, zoom out, depending on the view you want to see. And each one of these are different processes of a job. So I can easily come in and I can select a job, and it will show me how it's going to progress through the shop floor. I can click another one, and again, it will show me how is it going to look when it's progressing through the shop floor. It has those connecting lines to show you. You can see if a job's been started by this little green box, and then you can see if it's been paused, means it's been started but hasn't been completed yet. White is completed. These colors are my setup. They can change with you, however, whatever colors you want to see, as well as these bar colors. So you can have it, you can see different information. It can be what status is the case in. It could be what based off of customers, so you can have a view of what customers are being scheduled when. Whatever your preference of color schemes are, we can set that up for you to show the colors relevant for you, as well as the information. You can hover over top of a unit, and you can see all of the job relevant information for that specific unit. So I can see that I need 4 colors. I need my paper, 12-point paper, as well as my width and length of for this material, or for the material for this job. And then that just allows that job relevant information just to give the scheduler a little bit of more information by just hovering over top of a process. There's also the ability to auto schedule. You can auto schedule just your press department. It could be just your print, just your plates, just your finishing. You can set up auto scheduling to run on a regular basis. It could be once a day, twice a day, 5 times a day, every 10 minutes, depending on your preference. It can run as often as you would like to refresh the data. And also, it's very important for those jobs that are running late. It will refresh that information. If it hasn't been started, stopped, or completed, it will refresh that information to bring those jobs up to date, as well as schedule anything that hasn't been scheduled already. It will throw that into the schedule based off of the parameters you want to schedule. It could be you want to put like materials based off of the quality, based off of the sheet size. It could be whatever preference you have to schedule. You can set the system to auto schedule for you. So that way you're putting like jobs back to back. It's reducing make ready, and then also makes it more efficient. So that way your schedule is as efficient as possible, so you can run more jobs regularly. And then a scheduler can come in and make adjustments and make fine tune anywhere they would like, but this will reduce the amount of time that a scheduler needs to perform the scheduling task. So again, another way scheduling can help optimize by using our auto scheduling functionality. And I know we're running a little bit low on time. I want to try to explain this as quickly as possible. There's a lot of information to show. The next thing I'm going to show is the shop floor. And if I haven't touched on anything that you find is important to you, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to schedule more of a deep dive into specific areas. We can also get job tickets from you and show you a deep dive of specific jobs based off of taking your information, putting it into the system, and showing you how would it look for you using your own data. It makes it more relatable when you can see your own data versus some demo data that I'm running. But just to kind of close up a little bit, I'm going to come in, I'm going to change my role center. So as a user, you won't have to do this because your shop floor worker will be logging in and they'll be seeing the shop floor worker role center. Your schedule will be logging in as the scheduling role center. So you won't need this back and forth. I'm just trying to show you the process flow for a whole job through the facility. So it does require me to jump around just a little bit, but on a day-to-day basis, you wouldn't have to be doing this actually. So let me just refresh real quick. And actually, there we go. So it took a second to refresh. I was jumping around role centers, but now we can see what the shop floor looks like. So when they log into the shop floor, this is what they'll be seeing. They can clock in and out. They can change machines. So if they're running multiple machines, they can change what machine they're running on and to be able to record the job. So what's really important is that with PrintVis, there's multiple devices you can use. You can use a stationary PC. You can use a tablet. So you can get just a $50-$100 tablet, and you can use this as long as you have strong enough internet on the shop floor, or any user can use any device. And it's cloud-based, so all you need is just internet access to be able to utilize PrintVis. And so just keep that in mind. You can use your PC, you can use your phone. If you're an installer and you're having to go to a customer site to install a display, you can easily record your data from your phone or a tablet. So there's a couple ways you can utilize this PrintVis solution. Is you can have barcode scanner. I don't have one here in my office, so I won't be able to show you, but you can scan the pallet tag and you can easily pull up your job. So you don't have to do the clicking I'm about to do. You can have it where it populates this using a barcode scanner. You can come in and see what jobs you have scheduled today or what jobs you have scheduled overall. But I'm going to click into today, and it's going to, based off of my schedule, put these in order. Which tasks should I perform? The top one is the more recent, and the bottom ones are the ones to follow. And again, you can go ahead and change it to a tile view, so you can make it easier to click the different job with your finger, or if you wanted to see more job information, you can switch it to your list view. So I'm just going to open up my order since I have a barcode scanner. And here, this is what it looks like from a shop floor worker's perspective. So they can, as they want to make ready, they can click make ready, they can click production. You can scan it. So if you have a barcode on the workstation where they're just scanning, and instead of selecting the make ready, they would just scan it and it would automatically pull it up. That can be accomplished as well. This is a good point to make that we also have integrations with Moxa auto count, as well as we're looking into Spencer Matrix, which are three different data collection solutions that can be integrated in PrintVis. If you want to have the system calculating and keeping an up-to-date counter of, it could be the material, it could be the time, so the users don't have to select these different make ready or production. Based off of sensors, the system can then do the automatic registration for you. So keep that in mind. We have those integrations available, and just feel free to reach out if you want some more information about those. We have QA checklists, so you can come in and have a checklist. So a user, it can be mandatory. So before they can make ready, before they can complete production, they have to come in and complete these QA checklists. You don't have to set this up. This is just an option. It's very nice for traceability. As the product moves through the shop floor, you can keep that data, that traceability data, so that way if there's anything wrong with the product, you can trace it back to the user, because as soon as I hit OK, or if I leave a comment, it's going to update the user that completed the task and when they completed it. So that way you can trace back any issues that might have come up with the product. You can consume material, so I can come in and I can consume material. Again, this is going to be suggested data based off of what was estimated. This is the information that is going to be populated. You can have what the estimated quantity. You can hide this field. Again, it's just a personalization. You just go in and you can easily just come and hit personalize, and I can remove that field. I can add a field real quick. Doesn't require developers to do. This is what was estimated, but then again, the user has to enter in the quantity that they are going to be consuming, because they want an actual quantity. You can do, if your inks you want to auto consume, you can have it where you automatically consuming your inks based off of what was estimated, so that way a user doesn't have to come in and enter that information, if that is your preference. You also have barcode scanning capabilities. We can use lot tracking to keep track of the lot from when it comes in from the vendor, as well as it progresses through the facility. You can keep track of that lot material by using lot tracking, as well as barcode. So you can scan the tag for that material and pull that data in just based off of that barcode that you're scanning. And then you can just post it. You can also, we have finished goods. So if you're putting inventory to stock, you can easily come in and select finished good when it's complete and ready to be put on stock. That's also an option. We have it so I can now switch production, but you can see how it's been counting. As I've been talking, this has been counting the amount of time per process that I'm selecting. You can also have it where if you need to track different reasons why a machine might be down, this could be order specific information. So this specific order, it could be internal, a customer, vendor, different issues that might have progressed to cause this machine to be stopped. It can collect that data for you. Again, this is whatever data that you want to use, whatever error message you want to have available just to analyze when you're doing some job costing, to analyze that data is based off of what you have here. You can also have it machines been down, so you're not having, it's not order specific, but it's just a machine specific reason for downtime. You can store that on the rule center that we just came from before. And then also some other available. So since I have a lot of tasks here, you can just click the three dots. Of course, I can zoom out or zoom in of the screen. I can hide these different tasks if they don't pertain to my machine that I'm running. You can easily just hide it. Very easy to do. It's just on the machine setup. You're showing which tasks should be available for the machine operator. You can see the folders. So again, it's the same thing from the job. Is if I have folders set up for this job, I can have it, I can select it, and it will open up the folder for me to be able to store data for my customer or for my shop floor worker. You can store that data here in the folders. But job ticket is what I wanted to select. You can print out the job ticket, but it's not required. This way you can go as much digital as possible, and you can just have this job ticket stored with the case. So when they're logging into a job, they're seeing the job relevant information. Again, this is a customizable page where you can easily just go in and make adjustments. You can make the job ticket whatever your shop floor workers are used to seeing. That would be the data that they would see here in this job ticket. But this is just what I have available based off of our default. So you can see the different press information. If there's different finishing information, you can have that here as well as subcontracting. All of that is available to show and to store that data. It's just pulling from what was estimated and pulling all of that data into the job ticket. So you don't have to go in and manually make that creation of a job ticket. And you don't have to print it out. You can store it digitally. So that's another big talking point. There's also I don't have enough time. I know I want to keep this as short as possible. I'm already pushing an hour or so, but we can go into invoicing. We can go into job costing analysis. We can go into a bunch of different areas in the system. But I feel like this would be a good point to say that just feel free to reach out to us if we haven't touched on a specific area, or if I did briefly discuss an area, but you have questions, or you have a more specific, you want to dive into it a little bit more and have a little bit more knowledge on it, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to schedule a demo or a meeting to answer any questions. You can send us emails. Just feel free, whatever you have that you might want to have answered, feel free to reach out to us. We're very accessible and very accommodating to be able to answer any questions that you might have. I appreciate you spending the time watching this demo, and I hope it was beneficial for you to see how PrintVis can help benefit your day-to-day tasks and help to bring you to especially to the cloud solution. Have a great day and look forward to talking with you.